The very first spacewalk appears to be a stop animation fraud, and the Apollo moon landings were clearly produced on a soundstage with artificial lighting and a Scotch-Light front projection background. So it should be no surprise if we find more lies and deception when it comes to NASA and the worldwide space program. In several spacewalk videos, we can see what appears to be underwater air bubbles, as if the entire scene is actually taking place underwater, which is interesting because that is exactly where the astronauts train.
Ready?
Your leg behind you, Dominic?
Yes, please. One more question? One more.
The Neutral Buoyancy Lab is the largest swimming pool in North America. It contains a full-size replica of the space station. And this is where all astronauts start to train for spacewalks.
I heard that there's also Japanese module simulated?
Yes, in that far corner, we have the Japanese section. It's got the Japanese exposed palette. The Columbus is the European portion. The lab is kind of the U.S. portion. So it is an international space station, and the Russians have their own section out towards the back.
So if they already have the world's largest pool with a life-size model of the International Space Station, then all they need to do is key out the background and replace it with the black of space. For some mysterious reason, astronauts are at risk of drowning in their suits during spacewalks. And in this supposed spacewalk, we can see the reflection of a cameraman who appears to be in the training pool. Being underwater provides a realistic appearance of being in what we are told is the vacuum of space. And NASA has other tricks for when the astronauts are allegedly inside the International Space Station. Their special zero-gravity stunts can be produced in a jet simulating zero-G by nose-diving the plane. But this can only be sustained for about 30 seconds before the plane has to level off. So when they need to have conversations with the media, they have other tricks. In 2016, when George H.W. Bush visited the ISS Flight Control Room, the camera briefly revealed one of these tricks. NASA astronaut Tim Peake can be seen performing for the camera in front of a chroma key background with tracking markers. The tracking markers are indicative of a virtual camera being used for layered CGI elements. This, along with virtual reality contact lenses, allow the astronauts the ability to handle virtual objects, making it appear that they are handling objects in zero gravity. This trick is used often. Here we see a glitch on the CGI layer of the overlaid image of a microphone being passed back and forth. Here we see a glitch where the astronaut grabs for an object floating in 3D space that we don't see. Simulating zero gravity is their main trick.
And in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, how would you prove to us that you're in zero gravity?
And they all have the same move to demonstrate this, a somersault. And when you examine them all, you will see that it's something that could be done with hidden wires. In some videos, we can see the wires. And in others, we can see them adjusting the hidden wires. In one video, we can see the wire harness that they failed to crop out. In another video, we can see the astronaut fade out of the foreground. And in one video, we see the entire separation of the background image from the foreground, which clearly shows NASA's use of video trickery. The three astronauts, along with a few objects in front of them, are being layered on top of a false background. Female astronauts all appear to be wearing large amounts of hairspray, apparently to fake the appearance of zero gravity, which should appear to look more fluid-like. Satellites are also very suspicious. The amount of satellites we are told are up in space is impossible. You'd think that there would be photographs of them, but there aren't. What you will find are hundreds of artistic impressions. Obscure videos of satellites being launched via high-altitude balloons. and random videos of crashed satellites attached to high-altitude balloons. And why would we even need satellites when we have fiber optic cables that reach across oceans? The veneration of the vector symbol in the logos of every single space agency on Earth reveals the unified nature of the worldwide space program. Hidden as the number 7, it's in every single mission patch. It's also in Star Trek, Stargate, and Space Force. And it's also in the symbol for Freemasonry, which is certainly worth mentioning, seeing as how, along with known Satanists and criminals, NASA was founded by Freemasons, and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry claims their very own flag that went to the moon on the Apollo 11 mission. So is there any such thing as outer space? As it turns out, it was the Catholic Church that foisted the heliocentric model upon the public with an army of Jesuit astronomers. And for centuries, the scientific community challenged it for its many flaws. But this all changed when NASA put a man on the moon. Ever since then, the heliocentric model has been accepted by the masses as common knowledge. The old world model was not flat like pop culture would have you believe. It was a heavenly sphere, but hollow like a snow globe or a fishbowl, where we live inside of it on a flat surface. It's interesting to note that in the 1960s, when the US government was detonating nuclear bombs in the upper atmosphere, they called it Operation Fishbowl. According to British occultist Dion Fortune, we are stuck in a fallen state within the lowest sphere of the Tree of Life, a Sephiroth called Malkuth, and the only way out is to go within the inner space of individual spirit through prayer and meditation and with divine guidance. The hero's journey, taught by Joseph Campbell. Wherever we are, one thing is for certain. The stories we are told by NASA are pure fiction and lies.